Did you know that today in the Philippines, students pay upwards of 50 to 100% in interest every year on their student loans, right? In the US, you're paying maybe like 5, 6,
Yeah.
8% maybe.
Yeah, interest. Why is it so high?
Because there is no like government-backed federal student loan program. In India, there's a huge problem where people are just kind of forging or they're faking their university credentials. We're creating a state-level verification registry for academic credentials, right? Put it on chain.
Wow.
What really blew our mind was how big the education industry actually is. $5 trillion market, it's growing annually. Now, our goal at Open Campus is to actually tokenize this $5 trillion education industry. Just imagine the sheer volume of transactions that are going to be happening. All of these different primitives, all these different loans, these different diplomas and certificates, as people are learning, it's all going to end up on EDU Chain.
All right, Jonah, it's been it's been a minute since we caught up, and I know we tried to schedule this, but it's really good to have you finally. I know, man, you've been I feel like you've been everywhere. Like you've been doing a lot of things. I mean, how was like the that Singapore event? I think that's the last time I saw you, right?
Yeah. No, it's been a minute, man. It's been a very long minute, actually. And I know we've been trying to make this happen for a while, and we're finally doing this. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been busy, and I personally, I've just been, all over the place. Really, Asia has been the focus right now for us at Open Campus. We've actually been working on some really important partnerships in Vietnam, India as well, Indonesia, Philippines as well. So, a lot of these kind of Asian markets are going to be our focus. And yeah, so that's what we've been doing, just going really heavy, getting to know partners on the ground and just really understanding what the problems are on the ground, right, for us to solve. And ultimately, it's about bridging that connection, with the local market. And so really it's been a super busy past couple of quarters. And yeah, it's really it's really great to finally be able to sit down and sit here and reflect with you actually. So this is a kind of therapy for me as well.
Let's go. I don't know if I'm going to be a good therapist, but we'll try. No, but you've been putting out some banger content. Some kind of spicy too. But one that really caught my eye was you were saying like the education market is like $5 trillion. I guess obviously that's probably globally, but that's crazy. I did not know education was that lucrative. Is it? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that nobody really talks about or even thinks about when it comes to education, because and I think it's because education is so pervasive, right? It's everywhere. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody has personal experience of what education is, but at the same time, it means when you're a user of something, it also means that you're much less likely to actually analyze it and think about what's going on behind the scenes, right? Do you ever think about how an iPhone actually works? You just use it, right? It's like on autopilot.
I just know it gets made in Foxconn.
Exactly. And so when we started on this journey with Open Campus, I think what really blew our mind was how big the education industry actually is. And so really $5 trillion market, and it's growing annually, especially in emerging markets, right? I mentioned earlier Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam. And Africa, of course, right? These are markets that we've been eyeing for a very long time, and the rate of growth in these markets is just absolutely astonishing, right? So what we're doing in these markets is really we're trying to solve one thing with Open Campus, and we're trying to essentially solve the problem of inequality when it comes to student financing in a lot of these emerging markets. Now, this is something that not a lot of people know about or think about. And just to give you a tidbit, right? Did you know that today in the Philippines, students pay upwards of 50 to 100% in interest every year on their student loans?
50%, 50 to 100%.
50 to 100%.
And is this like secondary school, primary school, university, or all?
This is university.
Oh.
So think about how much you pay in the US,
Yeah.
right? In the US, you're paying maybe like 5, 6,
Yeah.
8% maybe.
Yeah, interest, yeah. For
Yeah.
Student loans, but they pay 100%.
They pay upwards of 100%.
Why is it so high?
Because there is no like government-backed federal student loan program, right? Unlike Europe or the US or Australia or UK. And that's just because these countries, these governments aren't flush with cash. So it's that simple. Now, our goal at Open Campus is to actually tokenize this $5 trillion education industry, the majority of value in which is actually locked in student loans. Now, most of that value right now is sitting as student loans in the US and Europe, but we're actually starting to see a growing market for student loans in these emerging markets that I mentioned as well. Now, that's actually where most of the opportunity is for us, because students are paying loan shark level interest rates just to fund their education. Now, that pain point is so huge, right? And it's actually something that governments want solutions for. Now, for us, like, you know, working in an industry like education with Open Campus, you know, going top down is the most direct way for us to drive adoption, right? So that's why working with governments is so key when it comes to this. And when you're tackling a problem that's big enough, governments will just really lean forward and they will listen, right? They will engage, and that's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see governments in all these different countries that were, you know, creating some really strong alliances, and they're coming in and they're saying, hey, like, you guys know what you're doing with student loans. You guys have some novel solutions powered by blockchain. Hey, let's figure it out. Let's figure out what we can do on the ground.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like how do you even get in contact with the Filipino government and stuff like that?
I think it's like testament to our community.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I think like it sounds cliche, but it's really the power of community that that has enabled these connections, right? So a lot of our core partners at Open Campus, we actually you know, we never really asked for any of these partnerships. They just kind of came because, you know, we've been doing things that I think everybody can rally behind, people find meaningful. And when everybody has such a clear purpose, right, around what they're doing, they naturally find and discover opportunities and they bring it to us, right? So it's not like we actually went out there and said, hey, you know what? Like, we want to do a deal with the Filipino government, right?
I don't even know where you go. Like, when you email their like PR team,
exactly. It's all a very organic, community-driven process, right? Where community members who might have certain local connections, right? They say, hey, we really like the vision. You've articulated it so clearly, and it's so purpose-driven. This is something we can get behind, and this is something that's different to, you know, what the rest of Web3 is looking at. We want to get involved. We want to help, right? And you know, it's all about the people at the end of the day. It's like people know people that know people, and then eventually you get to the right decision maker in government, right? And that's when the interesting conversations start to happen. We learn about their pain points, they learn about what we're trying to do. And when it's like value and mission aligned, that's when the magic happens, right? Is when you have that willingness to do something. And it's not even about whether this is blockchain or, you know, this helps.
Do you guys even talk about blockchain or crypto when you have these meetings with these government officials? Or
I mean, it's more of like a footnote, you know? When
you guys don't hide it, like you know, some people, like I talk to some builders, they're like, oh, I'm just gonna like, we're doing something, but I always hide the blockchain aspect of things. But I don't.
No, we don't hide it. It's all out in the open, right? Like we we go in leveraging the Animoca and Open Campus
That's
brand.
true. It's a bigger brand. Yeah.
It's a
people-
big brand, and there's pull there. But we don't try to hide
Right.
anything. It's just it's almost not really the key focus of these conversations. The key focus is actually how do we do right by the students, right? There's a problem here. We think blockchain can solve it. How do we solve it? And it's really about kind of building a product or a service that ultimately benefits someone, that creates value, right? Blockchain's just the enabler. And I think, of course, it helps that right now blockchains just, like you have governments now that are saying that, I mean, blockchain is just getting a pretty good rap right now, right?
That's true. That's true.
So it's becoming increasingly kosher, right? It's no longer like blockchain is just for scammers and whatever. Like I think you're getting that institutional recognition now, and then it kind of helps, right? When governments also need something to actually, I guess, present,
make them look good, as long as they don't drop a meme coin like like some governments.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. Even when it comes to crypto adoption, not just what you guys are doing, but like, I don't know if you were in Tokyo for WebEx, but in the morning session it was CZ, and right after CZ, at that time it was the former president of Japan giving a speech in the room right next door.
Wow.
Which is insane. The president of Japan, or prime minister of Japan, former prime minister, but like you said, like the adoption is here. Like he gave his blessing and all that. But no, that's good to hear, right? Like, so I guess you don't get much pushback then, huh? When you guys meet these government officials, it's just, hey, we want to help students in your country, and here's a solution using the blockchain. Right?
Yeah. So just to give you an example of actually what we're doing, like a concrete example of what we're doing. So right now we're working with the Indian government. Okay, so we're working with the state government of Madhya Pradesh, which is one of the, I think it's the fourth largest state by population in India, right? And so in India, there's a huge problem where people are just kind of forging or they're faking their university credentials.
Oh, wow.
And this happens all over the internet, right? Like people with fake LinkedIn profiles, et cetera, et cetera. But in India, this problem is so pervasive, right, that I think most employers have almost given up, right, trying to verify whether someone's resume is what they say they are. So
there's no way to verify that in India, is it? Or
so it's so difficult right now. And I mean, there are agencies that help people do it.
Yeah.
You can pay an agency to do it.
They can falsify it or whatever. Yeah.
But the thing is, those agencies, the good ones will maybe try to go and verify it, but probably still end up failing because, it's just very messy over there. The systems aren't very established. Or they take your money and they don't even bother trying. So that's kind of how the system is. So again, like there's a real need here in India for for academic credentials to be verifiable, right? Now that's what we're doing with the Madhya Pradesh state government is we're creating a state level verification registry for academic credentials, right?
Put it on chain
and put it on chain.
Wow.
So what does this actually help the state government do? It's not just credentials. It's not just like putting certificates on chain. It actually has a ton of benefits that it brings to the actual state at an economic level, right? Think about how much cost savings employers get, right, as a result of being able to verify the fact that these people are telling the truth and not having to waste money on trying to verify, right? And instead, they can just focus on getting the right candidates, getting the right talent, and get out of business, right? So it actually impacts, both, of course, students at a personal level, but also it impacts like, businesses that are trying to, make money, make profit, and it actually goes directly to helping to, reduce costs for companies, right? Which then benefits the economy. So, you know, these are really tangible things that we're building with blockchain on the ground.
Is it happening now? Like, are they using the solution yet, or is
Yeah,
this?
yeah. So by the
wow.
time you guys watch this podcast, right, I think we would have actually announced that this is going live with the state of Madhya Pradesh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So okay, so how do they use, like, do they go to like a website? Like, how does the, I guess, the government or education centers, like, yeah, verify if the credentials right? Like, where would they go to verify? Like, there's a website, or?
So this is actually the cool part, right? It's completely permissionless. So there will be a front end for it. There will be a website for it, but technically anyone can actually access this registry, and all they need to do is actually, they call a smart contract, and the smart contract verifies this credential with, like a verifiable proof. So technically, anyone can build a front end for it, and anyone can access this data. That's all sitting on EDU Chain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is EDU Chain a layer 1, layer 2?
So EDU Chain is the world's first blockchain for education.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I feel like I've never heard of another blockchain than EDU Chain for that. Yeah.
yeah. So
cool.
it's the world's first and I think only blockchain for education, and it's an Arbitrum stack chain. So we work very closely with the Arbitrum Foundation to really push this, and what we're trying to do with EDU Chain is we want to make EDU Chain the ultimate layer for all education financial primitives, right? So whether that's credentials, whether that's student loans as RWAs sitting on EDU Chain, we want EDU, like if we succeed with EDU Chain, EDU Chain will be the equivalent of how Ethereum is for RWAs, NFTs, and DeFi, right? And we see EDU Chain and Open Campus being kind of the layer for all education financial primitives.
It's really cool because, again, I think we're in a time right now in crypto where it's all like these pump and dumps, all these tokens, it's all like product or games or another. At least right now, while we're recording this, it's very like creating dexes, prediction markets. But you guys are actually taking blockchain itself as a solution to a problem in the world. I don't know. Do you guys have a token or?
We do. It's the EDU token.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're right. We are taking blockchain and we're trying to apply blockchain to real world problems. So I guess you can really call this the product layer of what we're building.
Okay.
Right. But of course, we also have a token, right? And there's then like that kind of token layer. And I guess the degens are asking, like, what is this token for? Why should I ape in? Right. So I think when it comes to the token, there's a variety of different utilities associated with it. The main one being that EDU is actually the gas token for EDU Chain. How Solana is the gas token to the Solana blockchain.
Oh.
Our token EDU is actually the gas token for EDU Chain.
Going back to the example with India, like when people use, I guess, the chain, they have to pay gas, right? Or
That's correct.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. So I think that's exactly it. So assuming, right, that you're bullish on the idea that eventually Open Campus will be successful in tokenizing the vast majority of education financial primitives, right, and bringing it onto the chain, whether through academic credentials, whether through student loans as RWAs, right, and we're accruing, we're essentially bringing that $5 trillion industry onto EDU Chain. Then just imagine the sheer volume of transactions that are going to be happening on this chain as student loans get issued, as more and more, people are going to continue to go to school, people are going to continue to go to university, and assuming we're successful, all of these different primitives, all these different loans, these different diplomas and certificates, as people are learning, it's all gonna end up on EDU Chain. And I think if you're bullish on that vision, right? If you believe that Open Campus is the project to do it, then you should also be bullish on EDU.
Yeah. And how many countries have you guys talked to?
At this point, we're speaking to governments of 4 different countries right now: Vietnam, India, Indonesia, and the Philippines.
And how about I think recently I saw with Kenya, you guys are doing something, or is that through someone else?
Yeah, so with Kenya, we're actually partnering with Tether.
Oh, okay. So it's like a partnership thing.
Yeah, we're partnering with Tether and Sorted Wallet in Kenya. So what we're doing there is actually really, really interesting. Sorted Wallet is a portfolio company of Tether's, right? So their mission is to actually bring crypto to users in Africa through feature phones, right? So because most people in Africa actually can't afford smartphones, right? So they're still kind of using older previous generation phones, right? So Sorted Wallet's goal is to actually bring crypto wallets into these feature phones.
Wow.
And so what we're doing with Tether and Sorted Wallet is to actually issue student loans on chain to students locally in Kenya, through the Sorted Wallet and through feature phones.
Wow. And it's through, I guess, USDT.
Through USDT. Yeah, that's right.
Dude, that's actually really cool. Like, where, again, like, I'm sure a lot of people even will listen to this, is where all we see in our timeline is crypto, which is pumping, NFT, whatever. And as we're filming this, all the stuff we probably won't want to talk about here on the timeline. But, like, crypto and the blockchain actually has a real case usage to improve people's lives. Not just, I mean, yes, the financial aspect of it, where it's decentralized, right? I shouldn't put that in quotes, but decentralized, and other countries that maybe never had access to global markets now have that, access to global markets. But also, like, education, which is like something that a lot of these development countries never had the opportunity, unless, I don't know, they get scholarship and they're like this top students in the whole country in order to go to school in the US or somewhere else. But, like, this is really cool. You guys are like that chain that enables those things, right? And
yeah, I mean, right now the best example of blockchain enabling new value creation for people in emerging markets, right, is through stable coins. Essentially, you're leapfrogging the legacy banking system, or actually the failure of these banking systems in these markets, right? And essentially saying, look, like, it's fine if the banking system in your country has failed you, and just because you were born in Argentina or born in Kenya, right, doesn't mean that it should be like a financial death sentence in a way, right? If you think about it, that's kind of how I see it. Is that, and it's, what blockchain is doing through stablecoins is actually kind of leveling that playing field, right? For people that are born and located in these countries and work and make a salary in these countries, right? Now all of a sudden they're not doomed to, whatever financial situation or the incompetence of the financial authorities, right, in their country of birth, and political instability and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Blockchain is now kind of essentially solving that problem, which is, if you think about it, it's amazing, right? Because you're now saying just because you were born in Argentina doesn't now mean that you're most likely destined for, for inflation to completely eat your gains up. Now, what you can do is now say, I'm going to make a choice now to come on chain to solve an existential issue for myself. And if that isn't the very manifestation of self-sovereignty, I don't know what is, right? So what we're doing with on-chain student loans is we're actually piggybacking off of the value that stable coins has unlocked, right? And we're applying that into our niche, and that is student financing. And if you think about how important that is, right? What we're essentially doing is we're now saying, look, like what stable coins have enabled for a whole generation of people is freeing them from a certain financial situation. Now what we're saying is, on top of that, what we can do is we're now going to enable you to actually receive an education by funding you on chain. And what's more important, apart from like financial self-sovereignty, than receiving a quality education? Like these are both things that can fundamentally change your path as a human being on this planet, right? So I think we're with EDU Chain, with bringing student loans on chain, what we're doing with Tether, with Sorted Wallet, and with the various different governments around the world, that's what we're doing. Is we're actually leveraging the intrinsic qualities, the intrinsic borderless qualities of blockchain, and then taking what stable coins have unlocked, right, as step one, and we're taking that to the next level, right, by applying it in education financing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it totally makes sense. Education, like you said, it's where humans, right? That's how it gives us an opportunity, to make better of our lives and whatever we want and stuff. And it's really cool to see that on chain and stuff like that. And yeah, no, it's pretty cool. And I was just curious, like, out of all the countries you guys talk to, do you guys ever get pushback? Like, nah, it's too risky, or yeah, I don't understand it, so I don't want to do it. Like, yeah, how does that work?
Yeah, I think if you asked me that question even just a year ago, same time last year, I would have said yes, 100%. There's a ton of pushback. And it's just people don't know what they don't know. And fast forward to now, I think that's completely changed. There's been a total vibe shift. I think the fact that the current administration in the US, the current Trump administration, has really brought crypto, I think, into the mainstream consciousness, right? And I think with kind of the US almost in a way like leading the way, I think other governments are now also much more open to the idea of blockchain, right? And cryptocurrencies, and all of the promises of all of the promises that it brings, right? So I think there's definitely been a vibe shift in over the past couple of months, and that's also kind of why this year has been such a pivotal year for us, because those conversations are now getting unlocked. Like, we're having these really amazing, productive, fruitful conversations with governments, and they're not like shying away from the idea now. And so that's when like you can really kind of come to the table and say, hey, like, what are your actual problems? Like, how can we, essentially, how can we leverage our expertise here and solve your problems within your borders? And they're very open to hearing solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good to hear, because, actually, I'm from the States, but now being in Asia right now, in Hong Kong, like, I never saw the impact that sometimes, the U.S. has, or the I guess you say the narratives and stuff like that, impacts of the world, right? And even here in Asia, right? Like my grandma, she's like watching like local news, and then Trump comes up, right? And then she has an opinion about Trump and all that. And the way I say that is because, like, yeah, like looking at it, like him being more, or U.S. government now being more, you could say, crypto friendly. Like you said, governments are more open to it, because, like you said, I think before, right? It's like they gotta look good too somehow, right? It's like,
Exactly.
Hey, we're innovative. We're doing things. Again, no, please don't launch a token unless you know what you're doing. Still probably not. But That's a whole different topic.
Completely different can of worms.
But that, right? I mean, that enabled even other countries to want to launch it. Anyways, but
You really want to go there?
you wanna go- I mean, this podcast will get even more spicy with that. But yeah, it also makes me think like blockchain itself, like it's making this world so much smaller. Like crypto,
Absolutely.
like I mean, we're both on crypto Twitter a lot, and like just speaking on Spaces, right? I know you guys do Spaces, right? You're literally talking to people from around the world, or people listening are from around the world, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's in Asia, right? Whether it's in the US. It's crazy. Like what blockchain.
Absolutely, man. Like, I think blockchain was the enabler for all of this. But I think for me, the most important thing is that it's really down to the people.
Mm.
And I think I think whether it's you can look at it two ways, right? I think it's either the people make the culture, or or maybe it's more how I see it is I actually think the idea of crypto, the sort of mimetic vibe that comes with it, it draws a certain type of person. It draws a certain persona, right?
Good and bad.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
But I think, and there's such a wide variety of different characters in this space, but I think we all have one common thread, right? And that is that we're just extremely open-minded people, right? I think that's kind of the common thread that we all have in this space. And that open-mindedness enables us to have these types of conversations, to want to bridge that gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think blockchain makes the world a smaller place. But it may be because like it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like you have blockchain, it attracts a certain type of person, and then when you have like-minded people that all come together, yeah, that's when magic happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Shout out to all those Bitcoin maxis.
Yeah.
That's another thing. But no. So how did this like start? Like this idea of building open campus and getting into education? Because I feel like, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with open campus in terms of like being part of Animoca. It's an Animoca kind of project, and Animoca is always known for games and stuff like that, investing in different projects. But yeah, why? Like, how did they even start? Like, education. Like, how did the idea even come for you guys to build this project?
So, education has always been such an important topic for Yatsio himself. So he was the guy that was the kind of inspiration behind Open Campus. Without him, I don't think Open Campus would be where it is today, and I don't think it would have even been possible for us to get it off the ground. So how it all started was when Yat's always had, I mean, like you mentioned, like Yat's always been in gaming, right? And he's always had kind of like he's always been drawn to games and gamification, and he's all like consumer apps has always been in his DNA, right? So what he did in 2020 was he actually acquired a company called TinyTap. And TinyTap is, you can think of a TinyTap as like a Netflix for kids games.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So what parents do is they pay $15 a month, and they get to access a massive library of tens of thousands of these little games that kids can play, whether it's to, learn their ABCs or, learn simple basic math, right? These are all games that different teachers have spent time to actually produce and put onto TinyTap as a marketplace. And they actually earn a rev share depending on how popular their games are, right? So when Yat acquired TinyTap in 2020, he saw an opportunity. He saw that there was actually this like little mini microcosm of teachers that are making games for kids and parents that are paying for it. He saw that there was a marketplace there. And I think like a light bulb went off in his head. He took the concept of RWAs and he said, hey, aren't these games essentially RWAs? Because somebody had to put in time and effort to create these games. They're essentially assets, right? And these games are actually earning money for the creator. Because the more kids play that game, the more popular it is, the more money the creator earns. So he thought, hey, actually, this is an RWA. And that eventually evolved into the idea of actually creating a protocol, right, for educational assets, which was kind of the genesis of Open Campus. And off the back of this idea, we actually launched an NFT collection called Publisher NFTs, right? So this was the very, very original idea of Open Campus before we had, all of these government partnerships and EDU Chain.
What year was that?
This was in actually May of 2023. So this was actually deep in the bear market at the time. Yeah. So we actually launched on Binance Launchpad at the time.
Oh, interesting.
When nothing was happening. Like crypto was dead.
Yeah.
And that was such an interesting time because Binance Launchpad had been a ghost town for pretty much 6 months. This was after FTX and Luna.
Oh, yeah. And this is when CZ was getting kind of under review by the US government, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was a pretty bearish time.
Yeah, then why did you guys launch on Binance then at that time?
So at the time, actually, CZ's like really into education, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he has a project called Giggle Academy.
Giggle Academy.
Giggle Academy. There's even a meme coin called Giggle.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
You saw that one, right?
I didn't. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So CZ is very into education, and like at the time, Binance was looking for education projects to launch on Launchpad, and so we were the only game in town, and that's how it all started.
Wow. Okay. So are you guys still in Binance Launch? No, not anymore, or?
Yeezy Labs actually invested in Open Campus at the time, and we launched on Launchpad 2 years ago. It was a great success. We were heavily oversubscribed, and
wow.
So that was a very fun time. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. But what launching on Binance really unlocked for us, right, was we now had a token that was worth $1 billion.
Wow.
Right.
And that's the EDU token?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so with EDU token, we were able to actually bring in the right partners into EDU Chain. That was when we started recruiting all these different education companies to build with us. And that was essentially the start of the community that we have today, right? So that really enabled us that really gave us conviction to say, hey, EDU Chain can be a reality because we have all of these education companies and partners and people that are passionate about edtech all rallying behind the EDU token. And ultimately, like if they believe in the token, like then we can make the chain a reality because there's going to be users, there's going to be distribution, right? So it really all started there.
And so like the ecosystem of Open Campus, so there's like the EDU Chain, you mentioned Tiny Tap. So how does the Cappy Friends gets involved with, like, maybe you can share maybe from some people, like how does like the ecosystem look? Like is Open Campus like the top umbrella and there's like stuff under that? Like
I think of Open Campus really as a very broad community of a lot of different groups, right? So for me, Open Campus isn't really a single product per se. it's actually more a community of it's a community of different partners, right? That all want to build on EDU Chain. So and that's kind of like why I love this project so much, is because we've actually been able to attract very serious builders with extremely with very impressive track records, right? And these are all builders at heart, right? So what they've all been able to do is come in and say, hey, you know what, like we feel like we can own this part of the project, like Happy Friends, right? And it kind of comes from the fact that they've identified like, hey, we might need better community engagement. We think an NFT collection would help with that. So, let's do something about it.
And
right?
Happy Friends is like another NFT collection under the Open Campus?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, like if we like kind of take a super high level view of what the project looks like right now, we have Open Campus, and then under Open Campus, I guess as a big umbrella, right? We have EDU Chain. That's kind of where all of the the developer community that we've built, they're all building on EDU Chain. And so we have a community of developers that all build different dApps, whether it's like educational dApps or, DeFi protocols. That's what developers are doing on EDU Chain, right? Is they're coming in, essentially, yeah. So that's what developers are doing on EDU Chain. Now, on the community layer, on top of EDU Chain, we have, the Happy Friends collection. That's kind of the core nucleus of the community, right? So all the kind of most active, passionate community members, they all hold a Happy Friends NFT.
Yeah.
Right?
That's your PFP too, right?
That's my PFP as well. And then, and then you kind of have other different partners that have come in and own different slices of the community layer as well. So we also have a community of edtech founders that have basically all committed to adopting the EDU token in their businesses in one way, in one form or another, or they've committed to actually adopting our other core products like Open Campus ID, which is our digital student ID product, or the verifiable credentials product that I mentioned earlier, right? So we also have a community of kind of less Web3 native founders.
Oh, are these like schools, like universities, or?
So these are universities. These are founders that are in edtech, right? So they might have built their own learning platforms, their own learning technologies, right? And they've committed to actually saying, okay, like we love the technology, we love the vision, love what you guys are doing. We're going to adopt it in our business, right? Oh. So really, like Open Campus is a group, is really two big communities, the Web3 native community and the EdTech community, that have all rallied behind EDU as a token, all building on EDU Chain. That's what Open Campus is.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It's like the education chain is like the thing that the kind of I guess everyone goes to, right, and stuff like that. And no, it's not, like I'm just thinking like in this conversation, like this blockchain being a solution to solve a problem, right? Because a lot of my friends, they're just like crypto, blockchain, and it does mainstream. Sometimes it's like it's all about tokens, Bitcoin, but then what you guys are doing is actually helping solve an education funding problem in some countries, right? And I was just curious, like Jonah, like how'd you get involved with Open Campus in this project and stuff like that?
To answer that question, I kind of have to talk about myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So I wasn't always in crypto or Web3 or in tech, actually. I actually started off my career as a corporate lawyer.
Oh,
which is the furthest thing to crypto, right? And tech and
although I'm in Hong Kong and I meet a lot of lawyers and stuff like that. But anyways, that seemed like the thing. I feel like.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true. But how I ended up transitioning careers, right, and getting into tech was through education.
Mm.
So I went to a coding boot camp. This is almost 10 years ago now at this point. And I decided I wanted to build. I really wanted to build. I wanted to create products that could touch people's lives every day. And I figured technology was the industry that I wanted to be in to really help drive that passion, right? That need to ship things that could add value to people's lives. And if it wasn't for the fact that I could afford an education to switch careers, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you today.
Mm.
So when Animoca reached out, they said, "Hey, we're about to launch this project on Binance Launchpad. It's an education project. Here's Yat's vision." And I sat down with Yat. I really dug deep into how he was thinking about education and the intersection of education with crypto and blockchain. I was sold. And so Open Campus is personal for me, right? Because I feel like a lot of what I have today, the fact that I was able to get into Web3, the fact that I was able to, build my second career in blockchain and crypto is really because of my education. So I want to make sure that through blockchain, we're actually leveling the playing field for people that aren't so privileged, right? So when Animoca reached out and asked if I wanted to get involved, it was like a snap call. It was an instant yes.
Yeah. So that's when you joined Animoca, I guess.
That was when I joined.
Helping with this project, Open Campus. And I think that one post that you wrote, pretty much your whole LinkedIn resume, your whole life kind of on that pin post, which is really interesting, like going from corporate lawyer, and then you did a boot camp. And then after that boot camp, did you start working Web3 then after that, or?
No, so I was actually working for various different startups after the boot camp. So Bitcoin was probably 3 years old when I first got into tech.
Oh, wow. That was like 2011, 2013?
2013.
13, okay.
2013.
Oh.
And so really Bitcoin or crypto as an industry didn't really exist at the time.
How much was Bitcoin at that time?
I don't know, like $200.
I mean, right now, as we're filming, markets are red at 100K big.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but
It's
$200.
crazy.
But anyways, that's crazy.
I mean, don't quote me on that. I think it was 200. I think
it was after it's worth more than people buying pizza, right? No, people were not buying pizzas at that time. Right?
Oh no, that was after the pizza. Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't get into crypto until 2017. Actually, that was during the whole ICO. I actually participated in quite a few ICOs. I participated in Ethereum ICO. Very, very small amounts. I was a struggling tech founder at the time.
Right.
I didn't have enough, bankroll to actually ape into hard. But the ICO that I did ape into, which changed my life forever, was actually the Crypto.com ICO.
Oh.
It was actually not even called Crypto.com at the time. It was called Monaco. So
Crypto.com was called something else before.
Crypto.com was called Monaco at the time.
Monaco?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I bought the Monaco ICO because I loved the idea of being able to pay for things with your Bitcoin, but not having to explain what Bitcoin was to the storekeeper, right? So you could, so that's why I bought the Monaco ICO, but that led me down the crypto rabbit hole like no other ICO, not even the Ethereum ICO, because I don't think I really understood how big Ethereum could be at the time. But when it came to a credit card, that you could put crypto into, that I understood. Because crypto was so far removed at the time from normal everyday life.
Yeah. At that time, what year was like 20? You said 2017.
2017, 2018.
Yeah, it's still very like everyone's using Bitcoin on Silk Road or something.
That's right. Right. Exactly. It was still like Mount Gox and
yeah. One of the dark corners of the web, right?
Exactly. It was still Mount Gox and Silk Road and all that, sketchy stuff, right? RIP.
Although didn't the founder of Silk Road like recently got pardoned by Trump?
Yeah, he did.
Right?
He did. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, happy for him.
So crypto.com. Okay. So
I bought that ICO and I actually ended up lurking on their Reddit. So I ended up lurking and eventually started engaging on the Reddit because I was so fascinated by what they were trying to build.
And at that time, it's called Monaco still, right?
It was still called Monaco. They later then bought the crypto.com domain for, I don't know how much, but I'm guessing
really?
it was probably quite a lot.
Okay. I didn't know they weren't the original of the crypto.com, but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I ended up lurking on the Reddit, and eventually I was so fascinated by the vision of their product that I started really engaging. And so I got so curious, right, about how are you building this product? And kind of my builder obsession came out, and I was like, how does all of this work? And I started asking their mods, and I think that curiosity then eventually led one of the mods to say, hey, dude, it sounds like you're super into what we're building, and it sounds like you have the skills to actually come in and really build this with us. Why don't you apply for a job?
And this is on Reddit.
This is on Reddit.
Okay, this is I guess before the Discords, the Telegrams, and
they didn't even use Discord at the time. Yeah, Reddit was the main community channel.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so I ended up interviewing for a product manager role. I was the first product manager for crypto.com, and the rest is history, man.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Reddit. I know Reddit obviously was in Web3, like people used it in Web3, but I think when I got into it, like deep into it, I think Discord was the thing. But no, that is crazy. Like how you were just like casually giving suggestions or just jamming with the community, and then
I was just like beta testing the app. And I was just giving feedback, and I said, hey, like, this is how you could do things maybe a little bit different. And yeah, I guess something resonated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that in Hong Kong?
It was in Hong Kong, yeah.
Oh, okay. And then, so then you became like working for crypto.com. And then how long were you there for?
I was there for almost 4 years.
Okay, 4 years.
So do you remember were you in crypto at the time by then?
No, I was not.
Okay.
See, for me, I know this podcast is about you, but for me, I thought crypto was a scam at 2017.
Really?
At that time, I just graduated university, and I was working in marketing, and I had some friends already doing crypto here and there. But the first time I ever heard about crypto was funny. It was 2014. My cluster roommate was mining Bitcoin, and at that time, Bitcoin.
No way.
Yeah. He was in the dorms, the cluster, and he was like this like nerdy looking Chinese dude, right? And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm mining." I'm like, "Dude, what's that machine?" He's like, "Yo, I'm mining Bitcoin." I'm like, "What the hell is Bitcoin?" And he explained to me in all this nerdy way. I remember I stood there. I was like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard." And I asked him, I was like, "So how many do you have? This Bitcoin thing?" He's like, I have like I think he said at 10. And in my mind, I was like, "Why would anyone?" Because I kept asking, "Is it physical? Why would anyone like buy this thing?" And I think at that time Bitcoin was like $100. And anyway, this guy's probably like, I don't know, retired at some island of his own island.
I think everybody has a story like that. Everybody has a story like that. Oh, I know this guy. He told me he had 100 Bitcoin at the time. I don't know where he is anymore. He's probably retired.
Or in jail.
Okay, so I think the moral of the story here, for me at least, listening to all of these stories, is you got to study history, man. If at the time I'd studied the history of money, the concept of Bitcoin and what Satoshi came up with would have immediately clicked, right? Because what is money? Money is just a system of belief, right? And this system of belief that is Bitcoin or even fiat in a sense, right? Is that it's a system of belief of value that all humans prescribe to, right? In a capitalistic world, assuming, right? So if you had understood that was what money was conceptually at a philosophical level, right? Then Bitcoin would have made total sense, right? Because it was a new decentralized permissionless system of belief that didn't rely on centralized entities.
And Bitcoin was started, crypto was because after the financial crash. Right?
Correct.
In the '08
Exactly.
recession, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. So how was crypto.com in the early days? Like how was that like? Like were you guys in like, I don't know, like in someone's apartment, or was it like that?
We were actually in an office, not that much bigger than this studio.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was employee 30.
Oh wow, okay.
So during the 4 years that I was there, we grew from 100 people to 3,000 by the time I left.
And then at that time, was it all in Hong Kong, or?
It was, the majority was actually in Hong Kong.
Majority is Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Was that, so then for those 4 years, was that during the FTX stuff, or was it before that?
So that was before FTX.
Oh, it's before, okay.
Yeah, that was before FTX. And then Luna and FTX actually happened towards the tail end of my stint at crypto.com.
Oh, okay. Well, those are interesting times.
Oh, those are very interesting times.
Especially working for the exchange during that time.
I have a lot of scar tissue.
That is, yeah. And I guess that's why, maybe why. And then you moved to Magic Eden after that.
I moved to Magic Eden after crypto.com.
After crypto.com. So you went from crypto exchange to NFT marketplace.
Yeah. There's this like crazy wave that's about to hit us, and that is NFTs on Solana. Like the NFT wave had already happened. It had started
the apes and
with apes and stuff on Ethereum with OpenSea.
Yeah.
But Solana was kind of this storm that was brewing under the surface that people weren't really talking about, except for in like closed circles. And that really intrigued me, right? What's going to happen on Solana? It's like it's a much more nascent community. And the vibes seem completely different on Solana, right? So that drew me to the idea of working for Magic Eden and having that kind of front row seat to seeing this new explosion that was happening on Solana. And I think that really that was what compelled me to join Magic Eden, is that this is just like a once in a lifetime opportunity to really like build something for a community that is kind of going through its own Big Bang Cambrian explosion moment, right? And that was such an amazing time.
Yeah.
To be in the
what were you
community.
doing at Magic Eden?
I mean, it was a startup, so
Yeah,
essentially everything. But my main role was, I actually looked after their product for them. So I worked mostly on their launchpad. And also, of course, the core marketplace as well.
Yeah. And then at that time, I guess Magic Eden was just a Solana NFT marketplace, right? And I guess the biggest NFT collection was DeGod's, wasn't it? Or something else?
There were so many.
Oh, there were? Okay.
There were so many big collections at the time. DeGod's, of course, is kind of the household name now.
Yeah, right. Everyone, yeah.
But I mean, at the time, there was like OK Bears.
OK Bears, yes. They did a partnership with Zara. I don't know if they're still around, but yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
They're still around, man. They're still building. There was this other one. My personal favorite was actually Soul Gods.
Soul Gods, okay.
Soul Gods was one of my personal favorites. And then, of course, there's like, the SMBs. And
yep.
Yeah, so there were so many OG communities. Oh, of course, like DGen Apes. I mean,
This is before like Claynosaur, right? Claynosaur is newer.
Claynosaurus was actually more of like, I think like a Mark II, Mark III
Mark
of
III.
Solana NFTs.
Same with Mad Lads, right? Too.
Correct.
and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Claynosaurs, I think, happen closer towards like the tail end of that NFT wave. And then, I mean, Mad Lads happened during a bear market, right?
Yeah, the bear market.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess DeGods was the one that went way mainstream.
Way mainstream. I mean, credit where credit's due, man.
Yeah.
Like Frank did an amazing job with spreading that culture. I mean, I remember going to a DeGod's party, and man, like DeGod's parties they are on a whole different level.
It's the frat of NFTs, right? The frat house of.
I don't think frat house even begins to encapsulate what happens at these parties, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the craziest cultural, I guess, symbol was the shoey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever been to a DeGod's party?
I have. It's crazy, and I wasn't there yet for during the time was the height with the shoey, people getting tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know. But I mean, did you work with the team at DeGods? Like
no, not so much.
Not so much. Okay.
Not so much. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that was actually brings me back good times of the NFT. I mean, we're talking about Soul, but like in general, this is the NFT craze, and you listed so many OG Solana projects, NFT projects. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm secretly still hoping that NFTs come back. But
are you a big NFT collector?
I'm not actually.
Okay.
So it's funny. I worked at Magic Eden, but I didn't really collect too many.
Uh-huh.
I think I've always been much more of a, like utility kind of person.
So NFTs don't have utility?
Okay.
Give me the roadmap. Give me the proof. Well, you have a penguin, right? You have a Pudgy. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I think not all NFT collections and communities are created equal, right? So ultimately NFTs, for me, the ultimate utility comes from the social flex that you get. But it's actually more about gaining access to a community of people that you can contribute to and also take back as well, right? So it's a give and take kind of dynamic that I think NFTs bring. So really for me, it's like the social glue, living on chain, that kind of binds a community together. So I'm a community member of Pudgy. I'm also a community member of ARC, which is
our community, yeah.
Our community,
Yeah.
and I think both of these communities have really given me so much more access. It's completely changed the way of how I really do business in crypto.
Wow.
Almost, right? Because that's just how powerful NFTs are if done the right way. So yeah, I think like being a member of these communities has just like really made life so much easier in crypto. And obviously you have to invest your time, you have to invest effort into before you can actually get something out of it. But yeah, I mean,
yeah. Would you say the biggest utility of NFTs is like the network effect?
I would say it's absolutely the network effect. It's what I find really interesting about the network effects that come along with NFTs is even if you know nothing about the other person, the fact that you hold an NFT from the same collection automatically means that I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're probably someone that I can vibe with and that you're probably a good person. Yeah. Knowing nothing,
yeah. Especially in
about
crypto.
You.
That's a thing. Yeah. Trust is hard to earn. Yeah.
So it's like trust in it helps you build trust in an industry that prides itself on trustlessness.
It's true. That's actually kind of true. It's kind of true. Yeah, because like if I see someone with a pudgy PFP, even on crypto Twitter, I'm like, okay, regardless if I don't know who he is, and sometimes it sucks because sometimes scammers they use those blue chip NFTs. They don't care. They just right click save, and yeah. But like yes, you're right. Like it just like if I see a pudgy, I just like yo, I can vibe with this person, versus not with other collections, but like it's like you said, there's a more commonality, and stuff like that, and yeah, NFTs. At least as we're recording now, please do not check the charts. It's pretty bad.
By now.
Yeah, not financial advice, but I don't know if we're gonna cut this out, but little pudgies are higher than doodles right now.
No way.
Yeah.
Where are little pudgies at right now?
Last time I checked, it was like 0.6 something, 0.67, and I think doodles was like 0.6. Don't quote me on this. 0.66 was under.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know currently right now, but that's crazy. So you go for so you go crypto, NFTs, to education, right? And Animoca, and it's been a really interesting conversation of this again, blockchain, how it can improve education and stuff like that. But I ask all my guests this at the end of the podcast is like, yeah, what is kind of next for you personally, even and also Open Campus? Like, what is, or even like, if in a world, a perfect world, like where would you want to see where you are, where Open Campus is, and stuff like that?
Where I would really want to see Open Campus head towards over the next couple of years is for us to really cement all of these amazing partnerships that we've now forged with governments in various different countries, and for us to really now start to drive at an infrastructure level, right? To get our technologies, including Open Campus ID, EDU Chain, into the hands of students across the world. Open Campus is at a very interesting inflection point right now. We've basically spent the past 2 years cementing relationships with educational institutions, universities, governments around the world to really educate them on what we're doing and how blockchain actually has a role to play in education and education financing. And I think what we're about to see is all of these efforts starting to bear fruit. So if all goes well over the next couple of years, what we'd really hope to see is for Open Campus technologies to be used in schools all around the world. So we're starting with Vietnam, India, and the Philippines. These are emerging markets where the pain points are most felt, right? These are where the problems are really the most severe. But what we'd really hope to see is for these, for adoption in these countries to be really landmark case studies, right? For other governments to really look at and say, hey, what they've done there is actually really interesting and we want to do this as well, right? So in a couple of years' time, what I'd really like to see is for every single student around the world to have an Open Campus ID, where essentially everything that they learn gets codified and minted as a credential on EDU Chain. And ultimately, if you think about what that does, is it creates the world's largest data set, right? Of a permissionless data set of people's academic achievements. And with that data set, what you can do is now unlock more affordable student financing for students around the world. Because the better student you are, you should deserve to actually have a cheaper student loan. You should deserve to have like better access to education. And what we want to do is we want to build the world's first essentially reputation score for all students around the world. So if we're successful, right, every single student around the world should have access to this alternative credit score, and they should then be able to actually access, more affordable student financing. So, really, it's about unlocking. It's really unlocking the benefits of blockchain for students through education, and ultimately bettering their lives as a result of that through, being able to access the best quality education, which then hopefully, leads to better outcomes in their lives.
Yeah, yeah, and it's again like in this hour of conversation, right? Again, I've heard of Open Campus and stuff, but really going in depth of what you guys are doing is, yeah, I just really wish you guys well, because I think it's needed, and it's helping people. Right? It's changing people's lives. If like you said, where you guys want to go, and I know there's a lot of work, but no, I really wish you guys well.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, amazing. Well, yeah, really good to have you, and I'm sure we'll hang out here in Hong Kong and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.